Have you ever wanted to make a heavy round object fly, or maybe take part in an event centuries of years old? If you don't know what I'm talking about yet, I mean throwing discus. Well, I can help you reach this goal after being a member of the throwing team since ninth grade. I can help you by giving you a basic understanding of how to participate in this tradition dating back to the ancient Greeks. The goal of this video is to give you a basic understanding of how to properly throw a disc. I will do this by first showing you how to hold the disc, then the proper form to throw from power, and finally how to put the two together. I'll first start by explaining what a discus actually is. This is one here. A common misconception is that a discus is actually just a really heavy frisbee, which isn't entirely wrong. However, if you tried to throw a discus like a frisbee, you would be unsuccessful in throwing it very far and would most likely end up injuring yourself. This particular disc is a high school men's discus weighing 1.61 kilograms, which is roughly 3.5 pounds. The practice of discus dates back to the ancient Greek Olympics and is an activity still participated in today. Now that you actually know what a discus is, I'll start explaining how you can throw it. Okay, so I'll first start with showing you how to hold the disc. The trick is you want to put it on the first knuckle here, onside your fingers. So you take the disc, you set it into them, and then you flip it over, and then that's how you're going to hold the disc when you're throwing it. You might be worried about dropping the disc out of your hand, but actually when you're throwing, you keep your arm moving enough that it stays in. So that's the first step. Okay, so now that you know how to hold the disc, the next thing you need to know is how it needs to come out of your hand. And so when you're throwing the disc, you want it to roll out of your fingers because you want it to start spinning, because once the disc starts spinning, it'll fly farther. And so you just want to work on that, and you want to flick your fingers. You just want to roll your fingers and let the disc roll out of your hand. And so like a good way to practice that is just by throwing it straight up and just work on getting that roll. But then when you actually throw it, you want it to be sideways instead of up and down. All right, so the next part is the form. So you want to enter the ring, you come up to the front. You want to have your feet about shoulder width apart, and you want your right leg a little more forward than your left leg. And then you're going to have the disc in your hand, but right now I'm just going to show the form. And so the technique is you have the disc, you swing it up, and you twist back as far as you can, and ideally you want to be looking at this hand, and you want to be completely almost like turn the other way. And then when you come through, you want your hip to turn, and you want your chest to come up into this nice C position, and the disc should just snap out of your hand when it reaches here. Alright, so now you're ready to put the two together, but here's the form just one last time. So you have the disc in your hand. I like to swing up, and then you come back, look all the way back with your hand, let that hip come through first, and then throw the disc. And here's a throw. And then you'll know that you've done the technique right, because when you come through and throw, you want to tip over to the right. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind is when you throw the disc, you want to make sure it kind of stays flat to the ground, tipped up just a little bit, so it'll catch the air. It'll be like the wing of an airplane. It'll catch the air to make sure that it flies farther. So hopefully from this angle, you'll be able to see that a little bit better. I hope that through this video, you have now gained a basic understanding of how to properly throw a discus from power. So, to review, you begin by getting a good grip on your disc by setting it on the first knuckle of each finger and placing the disc in your hand, gently wrapping the tips of your fingers around the disc. You next need to get into power position. First, enter the ring, step up to the front, and place your feet about shoulder width apart. Make sure that you have your right foot slightly forward from your left. Next, take the discus in your hand and swing it up and wind backwards as far as you can, ideally looking back towards where you will be throwing the disc. Next, start to come back around, making sure that your hip is leading the way, pulling your shoulder, your arm, and the disc through after it. Once you get to the front, push your chest up into a good C position and let the disc snap out of your hand while gently rolling your fingers to give the disc a spin, allowing it to fly farther. Also make sure that when you release the disc, it's mostly parallel to the ground with a slight tilt up, allowing it to catch the air, creating lift, making it fly farther. So now, if the need should ever arise that you need to throw a discus, you will now have a basic understanding of how to get it to fly.